There's always something subtly dark about the mountains. No matter how much the sun illuminates their slopes during the day, at night they turn into dead behemoths, pressing down on the soul with darkness. When I found myself in those places, I didn't yet know that I would witness and participate in events that would change my life forever. My name is Andre. By profession, I'm an ethnographer, and I research legends, traditions, and forgotten stories. Locals are often eager to share tales about their villages and hamlets, but there are some places they don't talk about. One of these turned out to be a remote settlement in the Carpathian Mountains. The old people warned me, "Don't go there, son. It's cursed. Not even an animal lives there." But it was precisely these kinds of prohibitions that always beckoned me most strongly. I packed my backpack, grabbed a flashlight, my camera, and set off. The journey took half a day. The path wound through fir trees, and a thick fog descended lower and lower, and soon I realized it was becoming difficult to navigate. By evening, when the sky was covered with leaden clouds, I noticed crooked fences and the first signs of buildings, the hamlet. Everything looked as if people had left in a hurry. Windows were boarded up, doors were askew, and a well was overgrown with moss. The silence was dead. Even the birds weren't singing. I chose the sturdiest house and decided to spend the night. Inside, everything was covered with a thick layer of dust, and cobwebs hung from the corners. I unrolled my sleeping bag, took out my notebook, and began writing down my impressions. And then I heard it. At first, I thought I was imagining things, a quiet, barely perceptible whisper, as if the wind was playing in the cracks. But the longer I listened, the clearer it became. These were words, in an unfamiliar dialect, drawn out, as if someone was praying or casting a spell. I rushed outside with my flashlight. The light only picked up fog and the silhouettes of houses. Nothing. But the feeling of being watched didn't leave me. That night, I woke up from the cold. The fire had long gone out, but that wasn't the main thing. I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, as if someone was walking around the house. My heart pounded. I turned on the flashlight, and the light fell on tracks in the dust. They hadn't been there in the evening. They led from the door to my sleeping bag and vanished right next to it. I jumped up and lit up the room. No one, but an animal fear was building in my chest. Sleep didn't come again. At dawn, I went to explore the hamlet. In the center stood a half-ruined church. The doors were wide open, and inside were rotting benches and icons blackened with time. Strange symbols carved on boards were scattered on the floor. I got closer and noticed drawings, circles with faceless human figures inside. Something was written below them. I took a photo, but the language itself was unknown to me. And suddenly, I heard children's laughter. Clear, ringing, but completely out of place here. I turned around sharply. Emptiness. But the sound continued to circle the church, as if children were running around as invisible shadows. I screamed, "Who is here?" The laughter stopped, and for a second it felt like someone was standing behind me. By evening, I realized I had made a mistake. The hamlet seemed to liven up as it got darker. Floorboards started creaking in the houses, and silhouettes flashed in the windows. I looked, and no one was there, but in my peripheral vision, I clearly saw the shadows. I tried to leave, but the fog thickened so much that I kept returning to the same place. The hamlet wouldn't let me go. That night, I couldn't take it anymore and ran outside. The moon lit up the yards, and in its light, I saw people. They stood motionless, in rows, men, women, and children, all without faces. Their empty heads were turned toward me, and they began to whisper. All at once, the very same words I had heard on the first night. The ground under my feet trembled, the wind swirled dust, and it seemed the mountains themselves were humming with that curse. I covered my ears, squeezed my eyes shut, but when I opened them, they had moved closer. Faces began to emerge, ugly, distorted, with empty eye sockets. I ran into the church and slammed the doors shut. The whispering remained outside, but the walls trembled. And then I realized someone else was watching me from inside. In the corner of the church, in the deepest darkness, the silhouette of a nun was visible. Her habit was torn, her face hidden by a hood. She stood motionless, but I felt her gaze piercing me. "You've come," she said. Her voice was hollow, as if from a grave. "That means you're the next one." I screamed and rushed to the door, but she raised her hand. The air thickened, and I collapsed to my knees. "They left," the nun said, "because they gave themselves to me, and now the hamlet belongs to you." I don't remember how I got out. I woke up down below in the village. The people found me unconscious by the road. I was delirious for a week, repeating incomprehensible words. The old man who sat by my bed said, "We warned you. The hamlet doesn't forgive strangers. If it chose you, there's no turning back." Now I live at home, far from those mountains, but every night I hear a whisper. Sometimes I see faceless people in my dreams, and I know one day they will come for me. The curse of the mountain hamlet isn't a legend, it's real, and I am its new part.